Everybody, I'm Marcus.
I'm Brian.
And together,
we are the Northwest Sports Fanatics.
You know, March Madness time.
Right.
NCAA tournament is here. One of the most exciting times of the year for all you sports fanatics. I know for me it is.
Right.
I have flashbacks of skipping school and going home to watch the tournament games early.
Right.
So we just want to give you guys a couple of our top 2 teams to watch, also some players, and our Final Four predictions. So I'll kick it off. My first team to watch, a lot of y'all might not know about this team. Our State Cyclones. Now they're the number 3 seed in the East bracket. They had a great year. They finished 26-7 in the third in the Big 12. You know, with Kansas there.
Right.
They finished 5th in the NCAA in scoring. So that's a real tall order for them to do. They have a real athletic guards that can get up and down the court. So y'all be on the lookout for Iowa State. I'm telling y'all, you heard it here first, Northwest Sports Fanatics. My next team, I want to go with the Kentucky Wildcats.
Okay.
Amazing talent on that team. They have great freshmen. They got a big man that can swat shots.
Right.
They also have Randall, which is great down low, and they got guards.
Right.
You know, the tournament play is all about guards. They the number 8 seed in the Midwest. They finished 24-10 overall, and of course they got Coach Cal and them amazing freshmen. Watch out for the Harrison twins at the guards, and
right.
also James Young. He's a nice, smooth, left-handed shooting guard / small forward for you guys to look out for. Now, what about you? What are some of your top 2 teams to watch in this tournament?
Oh, man, there's a lot of teams to kind of go through, but just ones that I kind of like. You know, there may not be the top tier teams, but I think teams to kind of keep an eye on. Number 1 for me is going to be the 4 seed, Michigan State.
Okay.
I think they're really underrated. I think they could make it pretty far. And usually when you go with the tournament, you got to think of who's got good coaches. Because coaching really gets you pretty far. You can have a small school make it, kind of like a VCU or, you know, these Wichita States once in a while. But Tom Izzo, I mean, he's a class act. He's a competitor. You know, you got Gary Harris at guard. You know, he's averaging about 17 a game. You got Adrian Payne. He's the workhorse. He reminds me kind of a Buck Williams in his prime.
Oh, yeah.
He's a scrapper. Doesn't have the best form, but he can really get you rebounds, dirty work, block some shots, and he's averaging about 15. So look out for Michigan State to make a little bit of a run. And another team I want to kind of keep an eye on is Creighton. Right, so you got Doug McDermott. He's probably arguably the best player in college basketball this year.
Yeah, give him the trophy.
Right, besides Jabari Parker and Andrew Wiggins. But the guy's been averaging about 26, 27 points per game.
Wow.
So a real good shooter. Kind of reminds me a little bit of that Adam Morrison. I don't know how good Doug McDermott will be in the pros, but for right now in the tournament, Creighton is really relying on him to score. And the scary thing is when this guy's hot, he can score 25, 30, 35, 40 like it's nothing. But the thing that concerns me is the depth after McDermott. So if you get good defense and you shut him down and he scores 17, 15, 12, you're not going to win. But if he can stay hot, that might be a team to watch as we kind of move forward in the tournament. What about players to watch besides the ones that we've mentioned?
Top players to watch. For me, he came in the season with a lot of hype.
Okay.
And, you know, early on, he didn't live up to it, but now he's kind of showing everyone why he was dubbed the next LeBron James.
Right.
So, Andrew Wiggins. This is my player to watch. He averaged 17 points a game, 6 rebounds. He's long. He's athletic. He can shoot. He can defend. He's just needs to mature a little more.
Right.
And if you've been watching college basketball as the season came to a close, you've seen some of the potential and some of the wow. I see why everyone is hyped about Andrew Wiggins.
Right.
Just check this. His last 3 games, 41, 30, and 22.
Killing it.
So we'll see if I think he's on a nice little roll. Let's see if he can continue that going into the NCAA tournament here. So my number 1 player to watch, Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah, and also too, you know, instead of maybe a LeBron James comparison, like we've talked about already, more maybe a Tracy McGrady in his prime comparison. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, Tracy McGrady was awesome, you know, when he was in his prime. So watch for this kid. He's really special.
Yeah, he is special. Next up, this is a player that not too many people are going to know when I say his name, unless you're a true sports head like me. His name is Melvin Ejim. and he's from Iowa State.
Okay.
He's a guard. I'm sorry, he's not a guard. He's a small forward. He's awesome. He'd average 18 points per game, 8 rebounds, and I don't know. I think it's something in the water about these Toronto players,
right?
Who's just taking over the basketball landscape,
right?
But he rebounds, he defends, he shoots the three, he gets to the line. His energy is amazing, and he actually led Iowa State to a real good record, and they're going to be a number 3 seed in the East. So watch out for Melvin Ingram in this tournament. Now, what about you? Who are some of the players to watch on?
Oh, wow. I mean, there's a lot of names that I want to go through, but names I think you need to really watch out for because these guys are probably going to be in the NBA next year. A lot of these guys we mentioned are going to be probably top 10 picks, except for maybe Ejim. He might be a little bit lower. Mm-hmm. But Jabari Parker, you know, this guy won Freshman of the Year, just slightly over Wiggins. He's on the Duke, obviously Blue Devils out there, 19.3 points per game. When I see him, it really reminds me of Carmelo Anthony. Like, it really very scary when I watch him because he's big. He's not chubby, but he's got a little bit of weight to him. You know, he can use his body. He can post up. He can get to the line. But when he wants to throw it down, he can throw it down. And then he's got a good three-point game. He's a pretty good shooter out there. So if Duke is going to get to the maybe Elite 8 or Final 4, which I don't think a lot of people think that they're going to get that far. They'll probably lose in the 16, I think is what most people are thinking. They're going to really need him to step it up. And if he can step it up, maybe get to about 25, then maybe the other role players can kind of step in and make some moves. So I would watch out for Jabari Parker to see how far he can go. And he's legitimately I've been hearing top 3 pick. Yeah, so, I mean, he could even go number 1. And I know Sixers right now and some of these teams in Milwaukee, they're kind of tanking to get him. So watch out for him, obviously, on the NBA level, but especially in this tournament because you're not going to see him on Duke next year. No. And then another name I want to kind of shout out right now and I'm concerned about, but I do like Aaron Gordon.
Wow.
Okay, awesome. Aaron Gordon, he's on Arizona Wildcats. You look at that bracket, it's kind of weak. There's not a lot of teams there in that bracket besides, I think, Creighton. So there's not really a whole lot of teams that can match. And Wisconsin.
Softest bracket in the tournament.
Pretty soft bracket. But Aaron Gordon's averaging 12.1 points per game. He's a forward. And when I look at him, I see one person. I see a baby Blake Griffin. I see him, not Blake Griffin now, but Blake Griffin early on when he couldn't really shoot that well, but really athletic around the rim, rebound dunks, blocking shots, rebounds, has a lot of energy, and in defense as well. And I think if Arizona is going to make that push to the Final Four, they're going to really rely on Aaron Gordon to step it up and kind of take it to that next level. So as we move forward now, we have our Final 4 picks, and this might be the toughest in the last few years because there's a lot of teams in this tournament that played their Pac-12 tournament, their SEC championship game, and they lost. And they were the favored team. So there's not really a clear-cut, Anthony Davis, Kentucky team that you know is going to blow it out of the water. You know UNLV from the 90s, Dukes from the 90s as well. Who do you have in your Final 4?
My Final 4. Of course, when you think about the NCAA tournament, first thing you think of is, great coaching.
Right.
And guard play.
Okay.
So my Final 4 in the South, I'm gonna go with Billy Donovan from Florida. I'm gonna go with the Gators. They had an awesome year. They're the number 1 seed out there in the South. Billy Donovan been there, done that.
Right.
Back-to-back championships with Noah and Al Horford and Corey Brewer. Out the East, I'm gonna go Michigan State. Tom Izzo. Real solid coach, defensive. They get dirty, rough and rugged. So I'm riding with Tom Izzo there. My next pick out of the Midwest, I'm going Louisville.
Okay.
I'm going Russ Smith to put on a show. It's obvious when the lights turn on, he turns into a different animal. So I'm going with Russ Smith and Rick Pitino out in Louisville. And my last team, I got to go out west with the Arizona Wildcats. I'm about to say Cardinals. Arizona Wildcats with Sean Miller and Aaron Gordon. Real solid team. They've been around 1, 2, and 3 all season long.
Right.
So now is the time for them to put it together. What about you? Who are your Final 4 predictions?
Oh man, this is tough. We have a couple teams that are the same. In the bracket. Obviously in that in the South bracket though, I think a lot of people have Florida, and you can't really doubt Florida right now or kind of question them. They've really played well since they've got the number 1 ranking. But I'm going to throw a little curveball. I'm going to go Kansas because Kansas, I do like Florida, and normally I would go with them. But I think Kansas, with Wiggins, and we'll have to see if Embiid Right, Embiid is that little center right there, and people have been saying that he might be the kind of the cornerstone in the draft.
Oh, yeah.
But besides Wiggins and Parker and some of these other guys they have there. But even if Embiid doesn't play, I think Kansas is pretty strong, well coached, and I think they could maybe even get past to Florida in that South bracket. So look out for Kansas, with Wiggins, if they can lead them to that Final Four spot. And then I'm going to have to go next Michigan State as well. Okay. I don't really see anybody else in that bracket. No. I like Izzo. Obviously in that bracket there.
Harris. Amazing.
Yeah, Gary Harris has been playing good. Adrian Payne. And especially with Izzo, he really knows how to fire up his players. And if you watch them play against Michigan, who's also another pretty good team, for that Big Ten tournament, they kind of washed the floor with them a little bit. Yeah. So I think Michigan State as a 4 seed and Kansas is a 2 seed. So I think those are pretty good, legitimate spots for them. And then as we go over to the other brackets, I'm going to have to agree with you with Arizona, but by default.
Yep.
Because I do like Wisconsin and I do like Creighton, but if McDermott plays bad and Wisconsin has an off night, Arizona can maybe squeak in. Oregon beat Arizona towards the end of the year. Then the Arizona played UCLA in the Pac-12 championship and lost.
Yeah.
So I think the confidence for Arizona is a little shaken, but I think they have enough because the bracket is so weak that they can kind of make it. And then last, I'm going to have to go with the best team all year, the Wichita State Shockers. They are going to shock the world, and I'm telling you, they may be able to make it to the Final Four. If they make it to the Final Four, I think they can make it to the championship because I think they can beat Arizona, but can they win it against maybe a Kansas, Florida, or Michigan State? Probably not. But I think they can get to the game, at least to the Final Four, and don't sleep on the Shockers.
No.
You know what I mean? You got to think, for a team to go 34, 35-0, we haven't seen that since Larry Johnson, right? Greg Anthony, Stacey Ogman, Jerry Tarkanian back with UNLV, running Rebels, back in the day. So it's not something that happens very often. And Wichita State was pretty good last year.
Yep.
So you got to think, I think they have a real legitimate shot to make it, and now we just got to wait and see and fill out those brackets.
All right, so there you have it. Northwest Sports Fanatics NCAA Tournament Preview March Madness. Stay tuned. Y'all be on the lookout.
Northwest Sports Fanatics.